The bit that you never get is the bit where I'm setting everything up. The bit that people would say sounds really terrible in a video. Oh, it's Barbara, she's ready. Here's Barbara. What's the point, Barbara? The point is to do earlies, I think. So you stopped playing and I did a session with I. Yeah, you heard about that. Yeah. Felt like I understood the difference between the earlies and the lates. So if I was to talk about what's happened today, the time is 1:32 in the morning. This is the first session for the day. It will be the only one. I had planned to start the session an hour and a half ago, but I took a very long time. We went to the shop because we needed to go to the shop. I had some interesting observations to do with being stimulated and things like that. I don't seem to find the shopping trip very stimulating. Or is that there are other things that feel irritating about them? Is that Tommy? No, it's Ren in the time jacket. The things about the shopping trip that feel stressful. So what we actually do is we ride the bus, we take a bus up, and we take a bus back down. The thing is, because we live right next to the supermarket, we actually have to take a bus away from the supermarket before we... Rachel! Take a bus back and Cole was there, that's funny. You take a bus to the away from the supermarket and then go exactly back to the supermarket. Exactly. You take a bus away from the supermarket and you take a bus back to the supermarket before you even do the shopping, when you could have just done the shopping straight away. But when I do that, you didn't hear very well. When I do that, I take the bus up and then back down before the shopping bit starts, I feel like something's happened, and I guess it comes from the general interest in the buses. The fact that I like the bus, it gives me something to think about. Cole's left-handed. I guess because there are lots of things in the supermarket that irritate me. So I don't feel like, even though I've gone to the shop, I feel like I haven't done anything. I definitely needed to do the shopping. But despite the fact, I don't feel like I got anything from the trip. So, not until we actually had everything packed up, then it felt okay. But then that whole process feels painful to the point where we don't even feel like doing it. And when I realized that, I kept thinking about the trip that we had. Oh, you can see a lot of that. When I kept thinking about the trip that we had on the buses, it made me think about what I said in the previous session about finding your stimulus. So then there's no so then, but that's basically what we're doing. Basically, we're just saying typical words, aren't we? Anyway, we did that trip. Not particularly keen on the strikes, but I think ours were better. And she's laughing at me. Look at you freezing up. I'm still sitting down, by the way. So I went to the shop and then came back. I said, oh, darling. How do you think it that much? So you threw it offset to the right? No, offset to the left. But then you hooked it a bit more. It's quite interesting. I was definitely not in sync with that one. Yeah. I unpacked everything, then we had a shower. Uh-oh, that's a late throw. What's quite... Okay, well, what's quite interesting... My notes. What's quite interesting about what I find in Max Wholesom's videos is that he has cold showers and he also has bath salts, and it makes me wonder if that helps him, because anytime I go outside, even if it's just to go to the shop and come back, I'll come back and then I'll have a shower. I usually feel like rubbish after that's too much.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel really fatigued right now. I feel exactly like that. I didn't actually feel too bad until I had the shower. Oh wow, Barbara, the way you threw that. No wonder it went too close to the middle. Well, that's quite interesting. Not sure how that happened. Oh no. I mean, you can see Bob is getting lots of strikes in a row, but I'm not really seeing... I don't know. I'm not... yeah. Now it's shrink 10. It keeps happening, Bob. So, he has cold showers, I did not have a cold shower, so I wonder if that's why I feel fatigued. Just an interesting little thing, I suppose. If I had a cold shower, would I felt better? But then, immediately the cold shower doesn't feel good, so then my brain's just looked at the score, and it said, you could get this score. And you got it just about. It's still fun, but then I think it's the bit where creative mode steps in, because I know that I have to do something in order for Barbara to get 250 to appear on the scorecard. Now 250 is there on the scorecard, but it's not like it can just happen. I have to make it. I guess I don't like that bit. Yeah, all of your strikes were a bit like that, where the left hand side was okay, but the right hand side was wonky. You were twitching a lot. It's that thing I said with I, and then I caught me out. As I said, I don't really make puns, but then the pun would just happen. So then I was thinking, you seem to be twitching a lot. I was going to say, have you been watching a lot of Former Sky's streams, because he streams live on Twitch? But that would have been a pun, wouldn't it? Yeah. I don't even know how you got the 9th fan. You missed pin number 7. That was what you missed. A lot of the time, it was the right hand side that was wonky. Not really convinced anyway. I mean, not convinced by her performance or anything. I don't know. You're not really supposed to think about that. We need to do the training session. We need to have some experiences. So just, we're having experiences now. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad, in your opinion, because you're having them. And maybe in the future you'll feel the benefits of those experiences. But for now, at least have them. It's better than having no experiences. And so, I don't know how long we're playing for. It was supposed to start at 12 AM. Oh, that's that controller. 12 AM, and it's now 1:41. We've only been bowling. We've only had the recording on for 9 minutes. I guess one thing to note is that when we got to the point where I was after we did several hours of bothering. Well, yeah, you missed the pin. Several hours with Barbara beforehand, so we did a lot of bowling to get us to that point, whereas here it's just we've gone straight into the thing that I was doing, expecting, not really, or kind of expecting to feel something, but right now I'm not feeling anything. One thing I can say is that Barbara's throws have been early, and when it hasn't been early, I've been able to identify why it hasn't been early, but outside of that, I'm not really getting much out of the throws. Even there, she barely got that pin. So I'm not really feeling what's cooking right now. What's cooking? Words. Yeah, I'm not feeling it at the moment. Rachel and Cole. It's Ren. And then earlier she was looking at too much. We finally missed pin number 10. It's about time. Pin number... I'm not sure. I wonder if pin number 1 got stopped by number 6, but... I don't think it works like that.
Spare.
Not really. What I'm tempted to do, Barbara, is just go to do the Susanna freestyle thing that we did with I. Because I just feel like I'm not getting anything out of this. Oh no. Yeah, you know you hooked it extra. It's possible, and even then I don't even know how she did. I didn't feel any of that. I just watched it happen and thought, huh?
Spare.
Okay. Maybe it might have something to do with how I'm physically feeling, because I'm feeling a lot worse physically than I think I've ever felt during any of these training sessions, and that in itself that's going to take some brain power away from me. No, I don't feel very stimulated right now. So maybe that will increase that feeling of being disconnected. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, but wow, that was a really nice shot. But I didn't feel what we did differently to the other throws. That was really cool. What I was going to say is, you could be feeling like this on... I was thinking of Matt Holson, so I was going to say a match day. Effectively, it is a match day. Anytime you're playing survival bowling, it's an actual match, a match that has an effect on your league standings. So, in the actual
Great double.
That's fun. I didn't even get to see her stroke. Oh, it's good. Yeah, when you're having a match, or sorry, let's say you're due to have a match, I guess you can choose when you have a Pro League match, which is a bit silly. Because imagine you only play when you feel good. It doesn't really, I don't know, there's like another way to separate the skill of certain bowlers, because some bowlers could be good, but only when they feel like, wow, now the strikes are like this. Like, they have to be in a certain mood, if that makes sense, to get these performances. But then there could be some bowlers who like they might be feeling rubbish, but they can still produce really good results. While other bowlers in the same mood who won't be able to turn up. Say the oh my goodness, the Olympics happen and you can't really change when it's going to happen. So if you're not feeling up to it, all you can do is whatever you can do at that time. And there's not really much you can do about that. So when you have these days where you don't feel like doing anything, you feel like you're not getting any feedback, I guess it can still be interesting or useful to see how well you can perform or to practice performing on the days where you can't feel anything. Oh goodness me, yeah, it's just like I'm starting to get irritated whenever I see those 2 pins left over. That's not really a good feeling, is it? But maybe it's because, well, it's that thing again where it's, well, this usually doesn't happen, so what's going on? Why is it pins number 6 and 10 are being left? Well, it's because Barbara's, you know, hooking too much, but then we don't know why Barbara is. Well, Barbara might know why. She's not telling me. But I don't know why Barbara is hooking too much, so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, sure.
Nice strike.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not in the mood, isn't it? Sad. I don't think I'd care. Again, if we weren't caring about whether Barbara gets strikes or not, I wouldn't really be fussed if Barbara keeps missing those 2 pins, because it's just what Barbara's doing, and that's fine. It's not like there's a problem if you miss those 2 pins. It's only because we're trying to perfect her technique that it feels like a problem. Which is why I don't really like going for perfection. I'd rather play freely, because for me the fun isn't in perfection. The fun is in just the sport itself. You defeated the combo.
Finish.
Yeah. You got 200 points. I don't even know what you got last time. I think you got a score that was below 200. No, that wouldn't make sense. You got 280 points. So to think that I felt Barbara didn't get 280 points or anything close. So Barbara got 200 points here. Her performance was suboptimal. But in the other game she got 280. And the fact that I felt like she got even less than this one, even though she played a lot better, I guess that shows how poorly I'm feeling, if that makes sense. I don't feel like... just not really. Well, to be fair, her strikes weren't that great. I don't think she had some better strikes here than in her previous session, but she was just able to get more strikes in the previous session. The previous session, she got 11 strikes. She was just 1 strike away. Frame 2. But guess what? It's not even 1 strike away, is it? Because even if she got 12 strikes, you have to do it again. Let's look at it this way. I got 300 points yesterday. But did Barbara get 300 points here? No, she did not. So it's like, she can do it. Well, I and Barbara are 2 different people. But if you can do it once, but I only really feel like you're getting more consistent. Oh no, that controller's finished, so you have to stay there for a while, Barbara. I was really hoping not to do this, because what you get is we'll have the green Joy-Con up, and then we'll have the blue one, but they're not really a pair. Oh no. Why did that happen? Am I sitting on the cable? No. I don't know why that happened. Oh, you can... I'm not sure if you can tell, but I can tell personally that I'm not very motivated right now. I mean, it's a bit sad, but we're still going to continue with this session. Oh, my phone. Imagine if I didn't feel that, it would have fallen on the floor, made a loud noise, and then I would have been completely out of it for at least a couple of minutes. I'm not there right now. Well, time to get Siobhan's controller. Seems Siobhan and Tilly working together to help Barbara. That seems weird. I know you don't have a controller, Barbara. I'm not bothered to get you a controller. To be fair, you don't have a controller because I don't know. I think Tilly it's Tilly's controller because it's Tilly's controller because I think that was the first time where I helped two of you play at the same time, but with two right Joy-Cons. And so we have three right Joy-Cons, but we only use two of them, and one of them is Tilly's one, the blue one. Well, it wasn't Tilly's one until after, but one of them was the pink one. I think it's neon red. That's the one that you usually use, and then the other one is the blue one. And I'm assuming that Tilly was the first person to really start using that controller. So then it became Tilly's controller. And then when it came to Siobhan's controller, we have two left, we have three. The ones that we usually use are the green one and then the orange one. But the problem with the orange one is that one doesn't have a very good control stick, so it may trigger inputs towards the left on its own, which people will call Joy-Con drift. So that Joy-Con moves on its own. It doesn't move on its own, but I already described what it does. Oh no. Tigress drive was good, but I got no feedback out of it. Certainly not what I was aiming for you to do, Barbara. You got the shine. Rachel. So, I like how Ren has purple hair because it matches your outfit, Barbara. In fact, Ren's kind of got your colour palette because he's got your skin, he's a bit darker than you, but he's got like a black outfit, and then I feel like he did the same thing again. He's got purple hair, your outfit's purple, and then his outfit's black, and your outfit's also black. So it's like you've got each other's colours, and then you're just a bit lighter than him. Well, that was interesting, that one. That thing, I liked that one. I feel like there are different ways to go about this. I'm not sure which one to go for. Originally it was just do the same thing because we know what we're doing, but we actually don't, or we've forgotten it, and so I don't know how we're going to find it. We could potentially find it by doing the same thing constantly, but as proven in the past, that doesn't always work. Or we could do some other stuff that has nothing to do with this. Now, the thing about that is, I guess it's less likely for us to uncover this mystery, question mark, by doing that, but then it's like we're doing other things, so I guess we're more likely to learn something. That's not necessarily this technique, but we're still learning something. I suppose what I'm saying is we could do this and get barely anything out of it. We still get something, we get experiences, but we could do this and not get much out of it. Or we could do Susanna Freestyle and the specialties and get something out of it. Oh no. Well, that was crazy though. Oh no, because it's not about getting this job, it's about throwing the ball and seeing what happens. Yeah, that's fine. I can look at the scorecard just get used to seeing it so that you stop putting so much value on it. I think that's absolutely right, because at this point you're just seeing all the strikes and thinking, oh yeah, we're doing great, but actually it doesn't matter. So just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't look at all those strikes and get scared. It does look a bit, I don't know, because the triangles have sharp edges, so it looks edgy. Doesn't it, Ronnie? Wow, you're like you hooked it too much. It looks a bit edgy, but oh, you got that pin sort of. The pin, the ball was rolling into the pin. It's like the pin was rolling on the ball or something. I don't know how to describe that. I don't really like Barbara's spot here. I'm not sure how she did that. If you asked me, it's just the wrong. Yeah, something that was up with her throwing. That's why she missed that pin. So she got the ball to the right spot, but the way she got the ball to the right spot wasn't correct to get the strike, if that makes sense. So then, when the ball collided with the pins, it didn't collide it did not collide in a helpful way. So therefore, she missed pin number 7 again. That was the only pin that she missed. She got 10 strikes again, one spare at the end. 289 points. I think it was around frame 5 that she got some good strikes there, and then wasn't sure about the others. Felt like we picked something up for a brief while. Again, it's a bit of luck whether you do or not. So on that occasion I felt like, well, it seemed like doing this kind of worked for us. So instead of doing Susanna freestyle, I've gone back to thinking, let's try that again. Try that thing that you sort of had for a little bit. I don't even know how much Barbara will hook it, because that's important. You can't just do your technique from anywhere. Every spot has its ways. I was a little bit late.
Nice strike.
Yeah, different ways to get. I guess that's helpful, isn't it? You have like one optimal strike, but if you're a little bit loose, there's still other ways for the strike to come together. But then, if all of your strikes are loose, then maybe you'll get loose and then not get the strike at all. So I feel like I understand why that happened that time, because I noticed the way that my Joy-Con was tilted. So maybe that's why the ball spun like that, and why you threw the ball like that, Barbara. Frame 3. Oh dear. That wasn't good.
Go, go.
Oh, the impact was interesting though, when the ball popped out your hand. Oh no. That was terrible. Rachel. I think I understand that as well.
Strike.
I want to switch off. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Sometimes I say switching off is a good thing. My body posture doesn't feel great either, so that's not really helping. Oh no, mate.
Great double.
Wait. Oh, you're freezing up. All the microwaves are eating the chocolate. That's not how it works. You put food in the microwave. The microwaves don't eat the food. Actually, the microwaves do eat the food. That's kind of the problem. Oh. That's why I don't put food in the microwave. Because then the microwaves take the nutrients away from the food. And then the food tastes like nothing. So I prefer not to use the microwave. Oh, that was like really upset. I'm not sure how you hurt that. I've not switched up. I'm very moody. Do you think I should do something else about it? I'm not really sure, you know. I certainly given my logic towards doing other things. Oh no, I mean I saw your arm, you kinda did your late through thing. Okay. Gotta be a bit more. No. I'm not sure. I would like to try something though. It probably won't work. Barbara says, I think you're crazy. Yeah, it didn't really work. It did something. Oh no, low battery. Yeah, it did something. Oh, I'll get you to throw. I think you can get this. You did not. 213.
Finish.
Yeah. I'm not feeling. No. I'm back to feeling that rubbish again. You think? I don't think. It's like I know and you're me. You're the one saying we should do something different, and I'm the one saying no. We should just keep doing the earlies. Well, yeah, we do need to decide, and I've made my decision. And she's laughing. I know it does contradict the things I've said, and look at you smiling. You're saying that's what I should be doing. Doing what makes me happy. I don't know what makes me happy. And maybe that's the problem, because we're already feeling offset, aren't we? So, based on that, you already got 9 pins. Well, it's fine, you get another chance to get a strike, isn't it? Get another chance to get it right, but I'm not really sure what is right. I don't really know what's right. What's right with a T? T for Tyrone. What's he doing? He's scratching his head. I don't know. I don't know what's right. What I did, but oh, you're twitching so much. I don't think that's why the ball is weird. I don't think it's because you're twitching. It could be, but I don't know. Cold. I like how Rachel and Cole are on the opposite sides of Spockay Square, of the bowling venue. I have an idea. I don't know if it'll work.
Spare.
It's kind of working there because I just swung and then she got the pin. But I didn't put much thought into it. I don't know. Yeah, this one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm dropping off mentally.
Nice spare.
Oh. You were not twitching there. Tyron's got the ball.
Strike.
Yeah, because I'm scared I don't actually know what's going on. So then I put too much thought into it. I'm not saying that Barbara got the strike because I wasn't thinking. I have no idea. I don't know if Barbara got the strike. Okay, yes, I do know why Barbara, but not fully. I don't really know why I got the strike. I know I missed because I was thinking too much and aiming through it.
Spare.
Too busy holding on, right? Okay, fine. Well, you've won the battle, Barbara. You want me to start now? I don't want to start now. I'm fine. Well, have her help me keep through first.
Nice strike.
Okay, fine. She said she wanted to do that one. So you want to do Susanna freestyle? Okay. We'll do Susanna freestyle. Back and forth, didn't it?
Spare.
It's a bit funny how I feel annoyed doing this. Whereas if we just played freely, I wouldn't really be that bothered. It's reminded me of Tomoko when she played in the basketball Pro League. Because that's what happened. It was a case where I wasn't all too bothered with playing, but because we had to play in a very specific way, it felt frustrating. I would have rather played with no, I guess, no conscious attachment to it. It's just thought, oh, we're doing so cool. And then, that was really good though. Just, I don't know.
Spare.
Breaking habits, I suppose. Anyway. That was an early frame. I do need to test that though, Bob, if that's okay.
Finish.
What I want to test is to do with the lates and earlies thing and what makes it happen. That's what I'd like to test. So this training session is a bit more like a freestyle rather than a late earlies mix. I haven't done late earlies mix for a while. Makes me think that maybe we should go back and do it on day 8. This is actually day 6, I think. But we don't have to be fixed. We don't even know what we're doing. What I said before was... Well, see, that wasn't early. But then also, you didn't hook it that much because you still got into that spot, which is quite interesting. But that might not just be because of what we did. Also, you threw the ball early, so then what happened? What caused that to happen? See if you can figure it out. That was a bit later. Yeah, just go from there. Again, that was early as well. Interesting. Well, that makes me think about what we used to do before. We only wanted to do it late frame. Oh, well, that was just early. Well, you barely hooked it. That's quite interesting. You didn't hook it very much, but you got a strike because you're in your late frame spot. It takes me back to the times where you keep missing pin number 7 because the ball's offset to the left. I wonder if that's what happened before you did your experiment where you went sideways at an angle. Interesting.
Fantastic.
Quite easy to forget what you've learned. Well, that's why you keep doing it, so that it just comes back. It's like you don't just do your 2 times tables once and then never do them again. Wait, hold on. Yeah. You don't just do your 2 times tables and then never do them again. You do your 2 times tables again and again and again. And to some extent you might do them in the same way. Well, you might do them in a different way, but you do it in a way that makes sense to your brain so that you're able to remember it. So you learn about the thing, but then to really, it's like you consciously learned about it, but not subconsciously. So are we trying to do a late or an early? An early, right? I mean, probably hook it too much if you do it early. So then you're here. So then, where do you want the force to come? The force to be here? Certainly did something. That's quite interesting though, because you see Barbara just stood there trying to hold the spot. Rather than walking up and then swinging soon afterwards. Let's try that from your actual early phrase spot, which is here. So what? You sort of go down to this point, and then I was still arguing it was a bit late.
Wow.
But then how much force did we apply? Did we think too much about it? Did we think about the force? It wasn't that late, but it was a little bit. Remember, she was throwing from the late throw spot early and still getting strikes, which implies to me that she wasn't hooking it very much. So here,
Go, go.
apply the force a bit earlier. But I wonder if it's easier to do the early throws than if I'm standing up. Because then if I'm standing up, I can really pull my arm back. And then it kind of reminds me of adding backspin in golf.
Wonderful.
Because how I do it, or I don't know, well, how I do it, yeah, I guess, how I specifically do it, is I apply force, like I swing back, further back, and then I apply force, and the force stops right by my leg. And when I do that, I help whoever I'm playing with apply batsman. Are you going to get 289 points again, Barbara? Well, let's find out. No, I'm not supposed to think. Just do it.
Spare.
It's weird because it just happens, what? I don't know. Anyway.
Finish.
Yeah, you applied the force, but it's like the timing. If you apply the force too late, then you won't get the backspin, will you? But if you apply the force too early, I don't know how that works in the context of golf, but the timing is quite important. But if I can't swing so far back, then it's harder for me to perform the earlies. Because I guess in a natural way, it's harder to perform the earlies where you go back and then forward in a smooth fashion. Because I can't get Barbara to swing so far back. So then it's easier to do the lates when I'm sitting down, because then I apply force later when the ball's more forward in front of Barbara. And so that helps her throw the ball late. That may be related to why her lates have been good, but her earlies have been a bit... No, I'm not sure about that, because that was when her earlies and lates I did them standing up. We're still sitting down, and funny enough, I'm not giving Barbara what she wants still. Yeah. She says, yeah, I'm just rolling with it. Oh my Barbara. No hook, so then you get the timing of the throw right, but then there's something else that you're missing. A lot of things to bowling looked really good. The way she threw looked really good, but she didn't throw correctly. There are times where your friends are doing that. I'll say, wow, you threw the ball really well, but then they only got one pin, if anything. Oh, late throw.
Nice spare.
The 2 times table analogy interests me. Well, I'm not sure what to really do with that. I'm thinking because it makes sense. You line the 2 times table in whatever way works for your brain, and then you just keep doing it. But that's what we've been trying to figure out. What are we even trying to learn? And then once we know what that thing is, then we can keep doing it. But we haven't even figured that out. I thought that I figured it out with I, but I didn't. So then, or even if I did, oh no, I didn't, because it's like,
Great double.
if I did, then I'd be able to do it again. And then when I do it wrong, then I'll be able to say, oh wait, no, that's not right. It's like when you say 2 plus 2 is 6. Wait a minute, no, 2 plus 2 is not 6. What is it? It's 4. It's a bit like that. So it's like when Barbara throws late, I think, oh wait, no, yeah, that's not early throw.
Wonderful.
Oh, did you see what pin number 2 did? This timing. Yes, that's the other thing that I don't like about this, because it would be nicer to discover these things accidentally rather than trying to force ourselves to do this. But saying that, I feel like this is one of the things that we said. I feel like this is one of the first things I said when you were training for the first time 2 years ago. What? No, not 2 years ago. Nearly a year ago. Oh no, just over a year ago. In December of 2024, I was saying, I'm sure I was saying things like, it's nicer to just discover these things rather than follow some kind of guidebook that says, yeah, so do this and do that. Because what is it about? Is it about the fun of bowling and seeing how many pins you can knock over? Or is it about always getting strikes? And I feel like for me, I get more out of just throwing the ball and seeing what happens than specifically trying to get strikes. Unfortunately, the only way to win matches is to get as many points as you can, and the strikes are going to give you the most amount of points, which I guess is like basketball 3-pointers, isn't it? So then it's a case where, well,
Fantastic.
if for some reason you want to be in the highest league, you need to be getting strikes, then don't you? You need to be, well, with basketball it's a bit different, because 3-pointers aren't granted. You can't, the 3-pointers aren't granted because they can be blocked. They might be hard to block, but they can be blocked. That's the thing with 3-pointers. 3-pointers can be blocked, but bowling strikes, no one can, once you get the strike, no one can take it from you. No one else can stop you from getting strikes. They can try to distract you with stamps or silly usernames or appearances, but they can't stop you from getting strikes. So I would like you to get 9 pins, Barbara. You've got 10 pins.
Nice streak.
That's me being annoying to myself. So no, not the fact that she got the strike, just the fact that I'm too focused on the scores.
Finish.
I don't even care that much. I think I'm just, I don't know, just a girl have bad habits. Yeah, so it's a bit different with, I'm saying it's a bit different with the 3-pointers, because in theory, if you could block the shots more often, then going for a 3-pointer isn't necessarily the way forward, because there's a chance that you could not get any points doing that. But getting strikes guarantees that you get points. When you get a strike, you automatically get 10 points. And then, if you want to get even more points, getting a strike is better than getting a spare. As you see, she got 259 because she got a spare instead of a strike. Or, I guess a better example is she ended up with 20 points on frame 1 instead of 30 because she got a spare on frame 2. And she got 40 points on frame 2 instead of 50 because she had a spare there. So it's in that way that getting the strikes are more powerful. They increase your chances of winning, and you have to win to be put in higher leagues. But my issue with I guess my issue with that is it really closes you into getting strikes. So now getting strikes is the only good thing, rather than bowling freely, which we've already dubbed that as Infinity Rank mode, where you have to win. The only good outcome is winning, nothing else is valid. But I don't like Infinity Rank mode because it doesn't give me freedom to enjoy the sport how I want to enjoy it, and I find the sport very enjoyable. Maybe Infinity Rank mode works for other people who don't enjoy the sport, but because I enjoy the sport, but I enjoy the sport just the way that it is. I don't know. I felt like he hooked it a bit more because I tilted the Joy-Con a bit. Your form looks okay though. There's Rachel. There's Ren. We got Kim. It's Tyrone. Well done, Tyrone. I guess I did tilt it there too. Tilt the Joy-Con without realising. Yeah, so I suppose there are times where I say I don't care about reaching this rank, and well, I guess that's the main thing. I guess that's related to how I'm feeling here, where I'd rather be playing with more freedom than to be playing for just strikes. You need the strikes to rank up, but I really don't care about ranking up. I just want to experience some bowling. That's the fun part. The fun part isn't ranking up for me. I feel like that's also why I didn't want to get myself caught up in this rank stuff to begin with, because I just felt like I already enjoy the game as it is. I don't want the rank system to prevent me from enjoying the game as much. So maybe it's like for one person playing the ranks playing in the Pro League makes it more fun. But maybe for others, they don't need the Pro League to be on to have the fun, but they can still have it on. And maybe for others, they don't like having the Pro League on because it distracts them. Oh no, well you did hook it a bit. No, I'm not supposed to care that you got a strike. I know, because it's like, well, Barbara now, she got another strike, so she can get more points. But the fact is she didn't throw it away. So, I don't know. Oh, you did it again, Barbara. I don't know why she did it. Well, yeah, I think people probably do think that I'm blaming you, but I'm not. It's a bit weird for Barbara because she has this relationship with me that people don't have with her, if that makes sense. It's like other people from my world don't have this connection to Barbara that I have. So, for all is, yeah, so for some people it's, Barbara, do this. No, Barbara, why'd you do that for? Stop being silly. And then for us it's, oh no, Barbara, I'm sorry. I did something and you got the wrong input. Or it's, I don't know what you did, Barbara, but I'm not blaming Barbara because she did something that I didn't understand. That the whole narrative between Barbara and I is different between what Barbara and I have seen between other people and whoever they're playing with. Even if it's like a character that represents them, they'll look at it and say, no, I didn't tell you to do this, why did you do that for? And then blaming the character or blaming the game, as we've spoken about already. Definitely. I do get a sense that Barbara and I are friends. I know Barbara, but I guess for the people watching it, I feel like it's worth noting that as we're playing together, I get a sense that Barbara and I are doing this together. It's not I'm doing this and Barbara needs to listen, or I'm controlling Barbara, which is strange because in my world the narrative is I'm controlling the character, but that's not really the relationship that I have with Barbara. You know, it's nice seeing you get 279. It feels like a classic score. It doesn't feel like I'm controlling Barbara, it feels like I'm playing with Barbara. We're doing this together. Although that's another thing, again, it's another thing about my experience with this game, that I don't need the ranks or the pro, I don't need the pro league or reaching higher leagues to feel. I don't need to reach the higher leagues to feel this with Barbara, for example. We don't need the strikes to feel the fun from this, and yet that's all I'm really doing. At least Barbara's got a smile on her face, and she's just here standing in front of the lane. This is my place. It's Barbara's place. It's where she throws the ball a lot. That was really fun though. I'm not surprised that happened. It's cold. Your distance, the distance between you and I never really thought about that. The distance between you and the line. Because, yeah, sometimes I remember watching you in the replay here. Walking up and then yeah, like that. And Tomoko as well. But I'm not sure if you've always been throwing at that pace. Maybe that's something to keep in mind. And if the ball's travelling further, perhaps, I don't know. I have to see about that one. But it's just, I don't know, that does interest me because it makes me think just how different each throw is. Not only do you hook it slightly different, Ben, you got pin number 5. Not only do you hook it slightly different each time, not only do you throw it in a different direction each time, not only do you throw it late or early each time, not only do you throw it at a different time during your swing, and not only do you throw it at a different pace, so you throw it with a different amount of power, but then on top of all those things, you also throw it at a different point along your walk up to the lane. And just if you were to think about bowling in my world, if you threw the ball further away, it's going to be rolling for longer. And that's going to affect the way that it collides with the pins. That was a bit slower, that one.
Spare.
There's so much precision to this sport. But if you can master it, then you can't be stopped. And that's why I get a bit upset that people say, oh, the sport, sorry. I get upset when people say, this is the hardest sport to reach infinity ranking. I'm saying to you, what do you mean?
Spare.
If you can always get strikes, then no one can touch you. You just get the highest score every time, and you'd win it. You get first place in every match. You just rise through the league, wouldn't you? How are you supposed to rank down if you keep getting the highest score every match? So once you actually know what you're doing, that's it. You can't be stopped.
Nice strike.
Now, yes, the tricky part is learning the stuff, but once you learn it, it's fine. You just need to be bothered to learn it, bothered to keep playing and gaining experiences. I guess people just don't have patience for soccer school bowling. So then it's no wonder that they complain.
Great double.
About bowling. They say it's so hard, it's such a grind, it's a terrible grind. I've seen people say, people who actually reached the rank, I've seen the messages they've sent. They said it was terrible. I sat there for like 12 hours. Oh, that was terrible, Barbara. Yeah, I sat there for like 12 hours straight or something, grinding for the infinity rank. I'm thinking, really? Did you have to do that?
Spare.
It sounds like you just weren't ready. You forced it. Or you said, I want this rank, I'm going to get it now. And you just forced it to happen. Which is kind of what happened when Tomoko and I got it. We forced it to happen. And no, it did feel great. I did complain about it. You've heard me complain about it on several occasions. but that's because if I were to have played flexibly, it wouldn't have happened. And that's what I'm saying. People don't have the, because we didn't have the patience to learn all of these different techniques. And it is a strategy-based game as well, so it's a little bit different. Although that's kind of the point we're making. Basketball is just a basketball is a strategy-based game, and so you could know the best techniques, but if you do something and your opponent predicts it, then you're finished. But with bowling, your opponent can't touch you. So if you do everything right, then you're unstoppable. It's just you have to take the time to figure it out. But no one wants to do that. So then no one wants to do it, and then they want to force it to happen as soon as possible, which we're sort of doing as well, which is why I have a problem with it. I'd rather not be doing this. The training bit's fine. I think we were fine with the late earlies mix. I think that was my favorite program. I think there was something in it in every session when we did that, because one time we do the earlies might go wrong or well, and then next we do the lates, and the lates might go well or not. And we get to compare the experience of trying the earlies to trying the lates, because we're trying to do two different techniques. We're not trying to do the same one constantly. We're trying to do two different ones, and my brain acknowledges that and finds it interesting how when we try to do one, X, Y, and Z happen, but then when we try to do the other one, slightly different things happen. And what kind of connections can you draw between those two experiences? My brain's just fine-tuned towards that, if that makes sense. I guess what I'm saying is I find that stimulating. And then you do the mix where you do some earlies and some lates together, and then because you're mixing different techniques, which is what we were saying about Susanna freestyle, because you're mixing different techniques, I guess there's more that your brain gets to think about.
Nice strike.
And then after that we did the special lanes, and the special lanes give you all sorts of different things. There's so many special lanes to learn as well. So I think I really liked that training program. My only issue, the main issue I had with it was that it didn't allow us to do what we're doing now, which is try perfecting techniques, which in the context of improving, I don't know, improving our consistency, mastering techniques, I guess it will take us further, question mark, I don't know. That's how it feels. It feels like if Barbara can get her, it feels like if Barbara can get her earlies consistent, if Barbara can get her earlies to be consistent, then we'll have a better chance of making other things more consistent than if we were to mix it up. Which is why we're doing this right now. But then mixing it up seems to be more stimulating for me.
Yeah.
And I think either way we still gain experiences. I'm not sure which ones you take in more. I think in the past I've said if you're more engaged with what you're doing, you're more likely to... Oh no, the Joy-Con's not. Yeah, sorry, Barbara. It's definitely on this side. No, I'm not sure now because you're responding better. If you're more engaged with what you're doing, I feel like you're more likely to take it in. So then, if you're doing something that makes you feel more stimulated, that's probably better for your training than to do something that you would consider as a grind. In other words, something that you don't really feel like doing. Oh no, Barbara. I'm not sure what's causing that.
Yes.
Day 6. I feel like that was late. I feel like I understand how I could keep training. Before we started all this, I was thinking we could go back to training, but there's a good chance that we just start to burn out. So I'm thinking too much. Anyway, I felt like if we do the training, we'd end up burning out, and that would be bad. So I didn't really want to get back. I didn't know if we'd be able to find a training program that we'd be able to be committed to. Yeah, not really. I'm thinking too much about how long Barbara takes to bulk up now, so it's all going wrong.
Finish.
278. My favourite training program is Late Early's Mix Special. It's my favourite one. Susanna Freestyle's nice, but then it's hard to get Susanna or Barbara or anyone into a spot that doesn't feel like I'm setting up something. Maybe if I close my eyes, and to be fair, when Susanna dances, sometimes I do close my eyes. Although the dance is with the music as well, so then that kind of removes the control because maybe I get lost with the music sometimes, and then I'm not thinking about how I'm helping Susanna to move. We're just moving together, and then I open my eyes, we're in a spot. Oh, okay. But otherwise, Susanna Freestyle doesn't work so well for me. I do like it, but I'd say I like Early's Late's Mix a bit more. And Specialings. The Specialing bit is good because it kind of gets me to do Susanna Freestyle stuff, but not because I'm choosing to, because the Specialing sort of demands that you do something a bit more unintuitive. There's so many things to consider, and that's what we just said. There are so many aspects to bowling. So I'm thinking about Barbara walking up, and then the timing of her throw, but then I'm forgetting about this other thing. That's what makes it hard. I understand that. But you just be patient with it. If you can be patient with it, might will come to you eventually. And then when it does, it will come to you. No one can take that. No one else's strategy can break you down because you have what it takes to get the highest scores that you can get. If no one can get higher scores than you, then you win. And there's no strategy. It's like other people can find exploits to get their strikes. That doesn't mean that you have to use exploits, because you can still get them yourself, your own way. So you don't need to worry about that. It's a bit different because we're strategy-based games, and let's say basketball's one of them. When someone finds an exploit, that makes it easier to do, to counter what you do, then your technique becomes inferior, so you have to come up with something to counter their exploit, and if you can't, then you either have to use your own exploit, use their exploit, or you're just inferior. And that's what I think Basketball 2 and 2 has become.
That's great.
That's not the case with bowling, so you just do it your way. And when you figure it out, then you are the champion. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the easiest sport. It's the most technical sport. It's the easiest sport to reach the higher leagues in. I don't know. No, I'm not going to say it's the easiest sport, because that's subjective. That would just be my opinion to say that it's easy. I saw you twitching, brother. Yeah. To say that, to say it's easy, I'm going to tell you it's easy. I know I just did. I was like, wow. Imagine you had that split to deal with. Yeah, it's not easy unless you think it is. And someone could say it's easy, and then someone else looks at it and says, well, that's not easy. And then the other person says, well, that's because you're just bad, sorry. And then there's that narrative again. And you know, I'm not going to say that to you. If you don't think it's easy, I might say you may be impatient, because it is a sport, bowling, here anyway, Sparkle Square bowling, because there are less ways to get around the complications of it. Like I said, it's a very technical sport. Yeah, there's less ways to get around that technicality, so that does make it, I don't know, does make it a bit harder in that sense. But if you really stick with it, you'll make it happen. If you stick with it. And if you're patient. People don't get fit overnight. It takes years. Because that's physical fitness as well. Your body has to feel it. And then you have to hold it up as well. So you can't just do a couple you got 247 now. You can't just do a couple training sessions and then give up, like not do it for a month and expect to be back where you started. No, that works here because the Pro League doesn't rank you down if you take a break. But it doesn't work in reality. It also clearly doesn't work. Like, we've kind of proven that, because I had that session with I and thought, okay, yeah, we're getting somewhere, and then went to sleep, went to the next day, and then now, you know, what happened? What happened to what happened with I? Can't find it because we stopped playing. We had to, that's fine. I'm not going to complain about the fact that we had to stop playing so that we could go to sleep and do important stuff, and then go to the shop. I thought that needed to happen, but because we had to stop, it cut through the things that we had learned, so then we forgot. My brain forgot. In the case of fitness, your body might forget. Something mesmerizing. I remember just the early days with you and Tomoko, for example, where everything was really slow paced. You just took up. Oh, you actually got 247. That's funny. Yeah, we took our time all the time. You haven't been seeing that here. We've just been going. We used to take our time, let the music play, it would loop to us, and then go to the next session. And Barbara walks up slowly and then swings, and she gets what she gets. And you watch the replay because it's there. We get to see it, and then next lane, when you get to frame 5, we have a little break, and then we get to frame 10, have a little break again. Sure that's what happened, and that's it. We've been going it's really fast. This Barbara's running. Yeah. Sad. Would like to stand up, but I'm not standing up. Main reason. Oh, there we go. That's what I was waiting for. The low battery for the blue Joy-Con. Also, when Barbara would go like that, we wouldn't have to think about it all too much. It would just happen. And you'd see Barbara play so well, but I wouldn't be thinking about the precision. But you know what that kind of says? I think it says... You know what that says? I'm going to show you what it says. That just about got it. What that says to me is this is in effect. The swipe because we're silly. It says to me that we entered the Tomoko zone. That's where the best bowling comes out of us, it would seem. Once we're in the Tomoko zone. But that hasn't been happening here. I wonder if part of that comes from... I wonder if part of that comes from talking about all of these annoying things. Or the fact that maybe it's because we're doing the same thing constantly. Because it's like the late early's mixing. What I also like about it is it's fairly structured as well. So we're not having to think about how should we bowl, where should we bowl from. It's just a systematic process. So do a bit of early's, a bit of lates, and then some mix. And then the specials. That's what we do. Whereas here it's okay. I don't know. Well, here we're bowling from this spot constantly so that we can perfect this. Whereas when we're doing the earlies, we do the earlies because we're supposed to do the earlies as part of the training program. You do the earlies and then you do the lates. We're not doing the earlies so that we can perfect them. Even though that's technically the reason why we're doing the training, so that we can get better. It's like that gets hidden immediately behind the training program. The training program doesn't have in big bright letters, we're doing this so that you can constantly get strikes. Instead, what the training program says is, we're going to do some earlies, then we're going to do some lates, and then we'll do some mix. So there isn't an emphasis on getting the strikes, there's one emphasis on doing a certain action. So then I guess there's a bit more freedom with how you bowl, because I guess in your head you're not thinking too much about, yeah, let's get all these strikes, let's just keep getting them. Good, we're getting strikes.
Great double.
We're only bowling from this spot so that we can get a strike. We're not really thinking about that because we're just doing what we've always been doing. Because we've always, not always, but we've often been trying the late. I wonder where we got the lates thing from. So I'm sure Barbara, before we conceived the concept of the late throw, had always been trying to do her early throw technique. Well, maybe there was one, I don't think that's what happened, but I don't know. Maybe there was one time.
Nice spin.
Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure what's in my head, but I must have noticed something about her throwing that said to me, interesting how you threw the ball a bit later. And then sometimes she threw it, well, that was fun. And sometimes she threw the ball a bit earlier. I'm not sure where the whole late early thing came from, but it came. Certainly did come, didn't it? Oh dear. But certainly. Sorry, certainly her. Certainly, I feel like doing late early's mix takes you away from getting the strikes and puts your brain a bit more towards doing the late early's mix. Maybe that helps your brain. Sorry, it's because my brain thought of something different after I said what I was going to say, and then it interrupted my sentence and then I didn't finish it. I was thinking about children-orientated content. A lot of the time, well no, this is the joke with children's stuff. Let's take this game for example. It's like let's put it this way for Barbara's sake. She's saying, "Ooh, I'm ready." Okay, well, Nintendo's have kindly shared Barbara's world with us, but why have they done that? My idea, one theory is that Barbara's world here is quite, at least Smocko's Square is quite child-friendly. That's my opinion, I guess. There's nothing. You generally don't get harsh feelings shared between the sportsmates. Everyone seems to be quite happy, seem to be smiling a lot. I guess that's why I get upset when I see the stamps madness online, but that's separate. Generally speaking, the game has quite a positive atmosphere. Spocker Square has quite a positive atmosphere, and I think the reason that's done is to help the children feel engaged with the game. And I've seen this in effect because I bought a copy of this game and gave it to my cousins, and I watched one of my cousins play the game, and she wasn't necessarily understanding how to play it, but when she lost, she didn't seem that upset about losing. Instead, what she did is her character was doing this sulking animation, and then what she did is she did the sulking animation herself and then laughed because she thought it was funny. She thought the face and the pose and the sort of mood that her character was portraying was comical to her. So she did it herself and laughed. There's that sort of role-playing aspect. And even when her character would win, she would do the winning animation instead. And so for the children it's quite funny, but they're also engaging with a sport. So it's like through Nintendo Switch Sports, it connects with the children and gets them to be interested in sports. But there isn't a big signpost saying to children, you must play sports. Play sports now, get really fit and be competitive. That's not really being signposted, although there are parts of the game, as we've discussed, that seem to advocate being a pro and things like that. But I think that appeals to the older children a bit more, and that's actually the point that we're making, because it's more the features of many things in our world that appeal to the younger children that are a bit more abstract or indirect. So they're indirectly trying to get, the adults are indirectly trying to get the children to do something, but they're not being overt about it. They're not saying to the child, you need to get strikes all the time. They have the things like the fireworks and the exclamation marks, so when you do get a strike, it feels more interesting. But there isn't a signpost that says if you don't get a strike it's bad, for example. And then even if you don't get a strike, you still get to see, for example, Barbara's here doing this pose. So then the child might look at that and think, hey look, this character's doing this. Or if the character's supposed to look like them, then they'll look at that and say, look, it's me, I'm doing this, I'm going to do it too, just like me in the game. Which is, yeah, that is why the narrative is, this is you, you're playing the game. They do it because, well, I think one of the reasons they do that is because it gets the children engaged with the sport a bit more, like this is them, they can play sports. Look at how well you can play sports. You're just like a grown-up. You know, Barbara is a grown-up. Even though I say I looks like a child. Yeah, no, I don't need to know if I is a child or not. I know that you're not a child though. How do I know? It's just a feeling, Barbara. You are very knowledgeable for it. If you were to be a child, I'd be saying you're a very knowledgeable child, a very experienced child. It's not impossible for children to be as experienced as you, but you do seem particularly experienced. I guess if I was to look at Xiaoban, I would be saying Xiaoban is definitely not a child. But we're not talking about Xiaoban. We're talking about children and the fact that video games, for example, tend to engage with children in a way that doesn't directly say to them, you need to do this, but they'll guide them in that direction. And I feel like there's a connection between that with Late's, Annie's and Nick's, because Late's, Annie's and Nick's doesn't say you must practice getting strikes. It gets you to think about how you can get strikes with Late's, Annie's, and then to mix it together. And the special lanes also teach you how to get strikes in different ways as well, by throwing obstacles that make you think differently, or they encourage you to think differently about how to bowl and knock over as many pins as you can. But again, with the narrative being knock over as many pins as you can, it's not, the narrative isn't you must get strikes every time. It's try to get as many pins as you can and try to do it using these specific techniques or by surpassing these specific obstacles. So I think when you apply that, it gets you away from thinking about getting the strikes, but it doesn't stop you from doing things that can help you get them. I feel like through this discussion I've deviated from what my mind was originally focused on, but I do think we've got the general point across, which is run as fast as you want. No, that's not what the point was, but the point was making it fun. Yes, see, because with children's stuff, they tend to make it that way. They tend to make it more enjoyable, more, yeah, there's just a greater emphasis on having fun rather than, oh wow, I forgot about that, having fun rather than getting optimal results. But then when it comes to adult stuff, the emphasis is on getting optimal results. That's one thing I've noticed. That's why when you get to the Pro League, they start saying stuff like, yeah, you're super cool, you can do this, you can do that, you're one of the very best, XYZ, because that stuff appeals more to the older children, because those are the ones that will be playing online, not the younger ones. At least online gaming is tailored towards older children, more so the teenagers and then the adults, which is why online games tend to be a bit more, I was going to say exotic, and then I was also going to say fiery and aggressive, just things like that. Fiery, and I just see, not Sandra, Rachel with her ginger hair. I kind of do get that vibe from, well, I do actually get that vibe from Sandra, but also from Rachel. With her, I guess because her eyes are a bit different. She seems a bit older, like Julie, and Sandra as well. But then, with this, I think with the skin tone as well, and then, actually all three of you have the same skin tone. And all three of you also have brown eyes. You have brown eyes. You have brown eyes, brown skin, and then, well, that's it. You, Sandra, have brown hair.
Nice pair.
Rachel has fiery ginger hair. And then she has those half-rimmed glasses. There's just something about Rachel that looks edgy. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm just doing my thing. Oh man. Rachel! No, that's a strike, that's not Rachel. Do you want to see Rachel? We'll see Rachel very soon. That's Ring. That's not Rachel. Can you see Rachel? There's Rachel. Look at this. This sounds like a... You notice that actually, I have these little narratives, like narrative sessions, where I'm saying stuff that sounds like it comes from a children's program. But isn't that funny, because we're talking about children's stuff right now, specifically younger children's stuff. That also interests me because Kakuma kind of, his interests are a bit more like that. He likes the younger stuff. He likes the older stuff too, and he plays games like Overwatch. But he also likes things like Strawberry Shortcake.
Wonderful.
So he has a big range. He has a bigger range of I do, because I don't really go the Overwatch side. Halo, he plays Halo. I don't really go that side. But he ranges between edgy and cutesy. Question mark. That's his. I think Fullness Sky's kind of like that too. A bit like that. I will mention this. I do find that seems to be a theme with a lot of autistic people, but then I know some autistic people are not like that. So it's sort of it's not. Oh, you're autistic because X, Y, Z. No, but it is a trend. I've seen a number of autistic individuals who have that kind of range, and then you have me, who's mostly children's stuff. So I say stuff like, "Can you see Rachel? There's Rachel." Oh, what, like the little song we made? Parody, where are you? Got some work to do now. Where's that come from? It comes from a children's program. Well, not the parody bit, but you know, it's all these little fun things. They come from children's programs. Wait, you could get 258. That's so funny. But guess what? We don't even know what we're doing. I wish I could say we do. I look like a bad friend. Whoa! Did you see that? Oh, Ren. It's like, yeah, man, that was good. Do you like that Ren's wearing a tiger jacket? No, I think we've been playing for so long, that's why I've mentioned it again. Just realised we already said that. You're thinking too much. I want Barbara to get 258. Come on, Barbara! You can get 258. Yeah, no, Sky has that softness too. I'm thinking of Sky when I say stuff like that. He likes to be supportive, but then he's also competitive as well. This is it. It's 257 or 258. Let's see which one it is. It's 258. You did it. You won Abby's game and you got 258. But I wouldn't say that it was a good strike. Oh, I mean, I didn't really feel the strike, I guess. But you know what? You got 258.
Finish.
I'm happy. Star. You're the superstar, Barbara. You got 258. Yeah, the children's stuff. It's interesting. Just make it fun. I think you can make your training fun. I think if you make your training fun, you become more engaged with it, you learn more, you feel happier, more excited to do your training, and get it done. No one said there won't be any hardships, because even when you're doing your 2 times tables, you might get stuck and think, well, this doesn't make sense. Well, okay, let's make it fun, and then we can make sense out of it through the fun. Or let's take a break and do something fun, and then let's come back, but then let's make this even more fun. Like, what? Instead of looking at the scores as, okay, so you got a strike, and then you got another strike. So what? Frame 1's now 20 points, and you got another strike. No, let's make it more fun by looking at the triangles, and let's say that every time you get 10 points after the strike, the 10 points gets put into the triangle. So imagine that first triangle has a little 10 inside of it, and then that second triangle also has a little 10 inside of it, because on frame 3 Barbara got a strike. So then those triangles together are 20 points, and then the strike itself is 10 points, so then it's 30. But then for frame 2, that first triangle has a little 10 inside of it, but that second triangle has a 9, because on frame 4 she got a spare. She got 9 pins first, so then it adds up to 19. So then the strike is 10 points, so it's 29 plus 30. That's why it shows 59. And then you see on frame 4, okay, she got a spare, but now she only has 1 triangle, she doesn't have 2. So she can only store up to 10 points for that frame. She can't store an additional 10 points because she only has 1 triangle to store points inside. So that triangle has a 10 inside of it because she got a strike afterwards, but she can't get any more than that. So then the spare is 10 points, and then the triangle's 10 points is 20. It's 20 plus 79. So that's why that's 99. And honestly, I'll tell you what, ever since we came up with that fun triangles analogy, I can just look at the scorecard and make sense out of it. I think we understood, we had a vague understanding of the scorecard before we came up with the triangles analogy. That's how we even came up with it to begin with. But after we came up with it, it just started to make sense. Because we just look at the triangle and think, well look, there's only 1 triangle there, so that's why it only goes up by 20. And you see both the 2 frames before that, they both have jumps of 20 points instead of 30. So it goes from 59 to 79, and then 79 to 99. So then I can, because of the triangles thing, I've now worked out that if you start a streak and then you get a 9 spare, you lose 21 points from the peak score of 300. So then if you get a 9 spare after you start a streak, that's 300 minus 21, that's 279. So if you get a 9 spare after a streak and you just get strikes, you get 279. But then if you get another 9 spare, you lose 21 more points. So that's 279 minus 21. That's 258. And that's why Barbara got 258, because those 2 spares costed her 21 points, together 42, and 300 minus 42 is 258. So I can already tell you that she's got 258, not just because I'm used to seeing her get 258 after 2 9 spares, but I can also explain it because I understand the relationship that the triangles have to the scorecard, if that makes sense. But by making fun out of the scorecard, we're able to understand it better. You could teach children bowling scorecards using this analogy, and they probably get it a lot easier than if you were to just tell them, so now it's 30 points, and they just think, yeah, but I don't understand. Why is it 30 points? And why is the spare not 20 points? Or sorry, why is frame 2 only 29? Why is it not 30 as well? Is the strike always 30? No, the strike is just 10 points, but you get 2 bonuses. And each of the bonuses are put into the triangles, although you wouldn't say that, you just say the bonus depends on what you get in your next throw. Okay, so your next throw was 10, and then the one after that's 10. So then it's, okay, so then how does it work? Oh, so frame 2 is, I mean, obviously I understand, so I can't really sound confused, but I've spoken to other people about schools, and they'll be adults and they don't understand it. They don't understand the schools, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if adults don't understand the schools and they haven't been taught the triangles analogy, then how are you expecting children to understand the schools? Unless you break it down to them in a way that they can understand. Because the children are really smart. They're really good at learning things, but they also don't have as much capacity, I guess, because they only understand so much. They're still learning to understand more stuff, ? I also think that their brains are less developed, so then they have to grow up to, as they grow up, the capacity of their brain does increase. Not necessarily in physical size, it probably does, but I mean like development, like certain parts of the brain grow stronger, ? So then they're able to digest more stuff, they're able to understand more comprehensive things as they grow older. But if they're really young, they probably won't understand what you're telling them. But I think younger children, you show them the triangle stuff, they probably pick it up faster than an adult could understand it without the triangles. I think that's our conclusion. I think our conclusion is make it fun. And do you know what's funny about that conclusion? We've already made that conclusion before. We've just gone in a big circle. Do you know why we've gone in a big circle? Because I feel alone. I don't feel like there's anyone else sharing this sort of stuff in this exact context. I'll be honest, so you have Matt Halson talking about training in the context of fitness, not quite in the context of bowling, and even he'll say things like, running isn't fun, even though I still think he clearly enjoys it. He doesn't enjoy getting up at the middle of the morning to do his run. He'll get up, see it's 3 a.m. right now. There's a good chance that Mr. Matt Halson is running around Manchester right now. Because he does that. He'll get up at 3 in the morning before work so that he can get his running done. He doesn't really like doing that, but then I think when he actually gets out there and starts running, he's enjoying it because I guess there's the physical element to that. Humans like to be physically active. I think it's just natural. That's a natural thing. I guess we're just built to be physically active, which is quite funny because here we are playing video games. Also, I think in his head he knows that he's doing something that interests him. He's interested in seeing how well he can do this run. Things like how, I don't know, just things about his running that he notices as an experienced runner. And I don't know, you just pick these things up, and then there's the sense of, I know that by running I'm increasing my fitness, which is what I want, so he feels successful. I think overall he enjoys his running, but he will say running isn't fun, which I don't know if that's just a narrative that he's picked up or if it's genuinely not fun for him, but I personally think that you should have fun with your training. You don't have to make your training feel like a grind. I'm saying to those Infinity Rank players who got the Infinity Rank by grinding, you didn't need to do that. Maybe you did need to do it to get it as soon as you got it. In fairness, that is what we did with Tomoko, and I don't think we would have gotten it that fast if we didn't grind. If we didn't grind, Tomoko wouldn't have reached the rank when she did. Maybe she would have, I don't even think she would have reached it now, because if we did it our way, we would have had more fun, but we probably wouldn't have gotten to the rank, because we wouldn't have done the exploits, so we would have had a lot more to work with. But that's an interesting thing, because I think because we're not using the exploits and we're having fun, we're exploring more about the game, and so we actually have a greater skill set than maybe some of the other players. And that's not to say that means we're better, because it's not about that. I'm just saying it's a fact, or it could be a fact, that by exploring more of the sport, you're actually getting a more developed experience than some of the players who are just going for exploits. I guess that's my way of saying to the players who do use the exploits, it's nice to explore as well and see what else you can experience in the game. And from a competitive standpoint, I guess, if your game is about being the best, as I've said with the Giovanna-Susanna comparison, being the best isn't about having the highest rank. I would say that being the best is having the greatest knowledge of the sport. And if you can show that, not necessarily show that, but if you feel like you understand more of the sport, you can do more with the sport, then I would be saying you have more experience than the person who just bowls from the same spot and gets strikes all the time. You'd be more experienced if you could get strikes from any spot, or if you know how to get strikes from any spot. Because let's say you take the special wings. This actually happens in the Tilly story. You have Susie messing up Rosa because Rosa's not really into the special wings, and Susie's the one who just does whatever she wants, and sometimes she gets really bad scores. But you have a situation where Susie makes it to the finals of this tournament or something like that and wins over Rosa, or Tilly does because she learned from Susie and not Rosa. Because Tilly got more experiences out of training with Susie because they did so many different things, whereas if she just went with Rosa, they would have been doing a much more limited set of things. Tilly would have gotten more of the sport. She'd be able to show more about the sport. She would show more skill, she was showing more skills. It's not skill singular. There are multiple skills, and Tilly would be showing more skills. She'd be showing more of the bowling skills by training with Susie and doing different stuff, rather than training with Rosa and doing a limited selection of things. So if you really want to prove that you're the best, I'm not going to be convinced just by seeing you use exploits. I think if I were to see more variety, I wouldn't really be saying you're the best. I think I'd just be impressed and intrigued. I'd be more interested in that gameplay. You'd be more entertaining for me if you put more variety into your gameplay than if you were to just do the same thing. For me, it's not about impressing me, but it's about being entertained. Well, that's me, because I don't really care about who does it. I'm more interested in what's actually possible. I just like seeing the things of the world. No, I don't really like. If you made it, then that's cool. You're a part of the world. It's still cool that you did it. But my emphasis isn't on you being the person to do it. Likewise, the emphasis isn't on me being the person to do whatever it is that I'm doing. It's just the fact that we're getting to see it done. Like I said, anyone could be helping Barbara. It doesn't have to be me. But it's nice to be able to see it being done, and if no one else is going to do it, then I'm going to do it, just so that I get to see it happen. that's not what we were talking about. I was just talking about, what was it? Just having fun, yeah, having fun with your training instead of making yourself grind. I think you have fun, sure, you may not reach it as fast, but you'll still get experiences, and those experiences will give you a deeper understanding about the sport. And the more of the sport you explore, the more you'll be able to learn. I can say that our plan was to do this, master the earlies, and then go to the special lanes, and then master that, and then master other things later. But I don't know. I just seem to not care really. I don't seem to care about mastering any specific technique. I'm just like playing with Barbara and her friends, or even others like Apple. That's the bit that's fun for me. I don't really care about being the best. I still feel like there's something I feel like I'm missing, and that's to do with, we can turn this down actually just a little bit. You're probably used to this volume now, so I'm not sure if I should mess with it. The thing that I feel like is missing is just, I feel like there's something behind the grinding concept that I don't understand. I feel like there's a reason why people say you should grind, or doing hard things pays off and stuff like that. Even then, it's what actually is hard. Is it hard because it feels hard? And does it have to feel hard? What makes it feel hard? Is it that it physically feels hard? Or is it that it mentally feels hard? Because if it mentally feels hard, that's really because of your mindset. If you were to improve your mindset, then it wouldn't really feel hard, would it? Which is where the having fun narrative comes in, because if you can make it feel fun, then it won't feel hard, but you might still be putting in the same effort. Sorry, it's just this idea where it's like you're about to do something tough, but what you do is you put a picture of your partner on your phone screen and you see it and you think, yeah, and then it's like that's supposed to make you feel good. But isn't that similar to having fun? What do I mean by that? It's something that makes you feel happy. Having fun, that's kind of what it does. It makes it not feel so hard, because there's something to enjoy. It kind of recreates that when you do that. So I feel like, I don't know, just even more so as to my theory that you just need to have fun. Just make it fun. Don't make it so fun that not so fun. What is so fun? That doesn't make sense. Don't make it fun in a way that takes you away from what you're supposed to do. So you still should keep yourself on track, which the late earlies mix helps, because you're still practicing two main techniques and throwing them around in different ways. You're still practicing those techniques, but you're doing it in a way that's more fun and less, I don't know, you're doing something that's more fun and makes you think less about, I guess, the reason why you're doing it. Because you can have a reason for doing something, but not think about that reason why you're doing it. Who do I have for this one? I'll tell you, it's our good friend. You see, whenever the ball is in Barbara's hand, see a bowling lane in the night sky. at that point, you're not thinking about, I guess Siobhan's whole point here is that, yes, in the night sky, there are less distractions because there's sunlight, so there are less things, and I don't know, naturally, it's less stimulating at night than it is during the daytime. Also during the night time, there are less people outside and things like that. So overall, there are less distractions. And so we're playing bowling, right? But whenever the ball's in Barbara's hands, you're not even thinking about playing bowling. You're just doing this thing. You don't have to think about getting the strike. You just do the thing that leads into it. You don't have to think about it leading into it either. You're just throwing the ball. And you know what? She even mentions it's like how the coffee girl does it. Who's the coffee girl? It's this one. I'll show you. You've already seen her. It's Little Miss Tomoko. She's the coffee girl that Siobhan's referring to. You don't have to think about getting the strike. You don't have to think about your training while you're actually doing it. You just do the training. That's why it doesn't have to be a grind, because I think the more you think about not wanting to do something, the more it becomes a grind. If you're just doing it and you're just following through of whatever happens, you're not going to feel that resistance. So whenever you lose a match, you just accept it and you just keep going, as if to say, well, that wasn't really a setback, this is just happening, and then you just do the next match. So those guys could have done the 12 hours, but if they were having fun throughout those 12 hours, finding some way to have fun and not thinking about the fact that, for example, they're losing a match, so they're losing points on their rank meter, then it probably wouldn't have felt like a grind. If I wasn't thinking about the things I didn't like about Basketball 2-on-2 while we were doing Basketball 2-on-2, then it probably wouldn't have felt like a grind. One of the things that I've been thinking about is the concept of a grind in this case is a lot more mental than it is when you're doing physical exercise, because physical exercise is physically exhausting. So you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel stressed, i.e. the stress is the physical part, not the anxiety. The anxiety is mental. The anxiety happens in your brain, but the stress happens physically. It can also happen physically to your brain. Anxiety can cause physical stress in your brain. I can't verify that, but I do have personal evidence to suggest that could be the case. But physical exercise, it physically stresses your body. So yes, your body is feeling like it's grinding because it's feeling that resistance, that feeling of your body wants to give up and stop because it's working really hard. But you don't have to feel like that with your brain. You can still feel overwhelmed. That's not a thing that doesn't happen, but I think if you're having fun, you're less likely to feel overwhelmed. Still good to take breaks, but it won't feel like a grind if in your head it doesn't feel like a grind. If you're not thinking about it being a grind, or thinking about the things that might make it feel like a grind, then it won't feel like a grind. Because this game, Barbara's doing the physical activity. That's why she stopped yesterday and we had to train with I, because she'd been playing for so long. She felt like she needed to rest her body. But mentally, even then at that point, you'll mentally feel like that as well, because what what's in my head. I think when you feel physically stressed, this was how I felt earlier as well when we started. When you feel physically stressed, your brain is connected to the rest of your body, isn't it? So the physical stress, as far as I understand, it takes up space in your brain. So you don't really have as much mental capacity to spare for other things. So if you are physically stressed, it's easier for you to feel mentally stressed. I don't know if that equals anxiety, but no, let's just say it's easier for you to become overwhelmed mentally if you're already physically overwhelmed, because you don't have as much space to think about what it is that you're doing. So if you're doing something that's quite technical and requires a lot of mental thought, thoughts are always mental but anyway, or conscious thought. If you're doing a lot of conscious work, your brain doesn't have enough space to do that. So then it's easy to make your brain work too hard. And then I guess with that, it can feel more like a grind what you're doing, because you don't really have much mental capacity, but you're pushing yourself anyway. It's quite hard to avoid mental grinding when you've already been physically grinding. But if you haven't been physically grinding, then you've got lots of headspace. Or you have a lot more, you'd have more headspace than you otherwise would. Sorry, so let's start that again. If you haven't been working out physically, you'll have a lot more headspace than you otherwise wouldn't have if you were doing a lot of physical exercise. So at that point, it's a lot easier for you to do things without it being a grind. And yet it becomes a grind because you're not having fun. You're not making it feel fun for yourself, or you're not thinking about what's going on in a way that feels fun. And so then, And now I remember the thing that I said before that, which was to do with the reason why I've been circling around so much. That feeling, I think, comes from the fact that we're doing this, but it doesn't feel like anyone else is doing this the way that we're doing it. So when I say things like, shouldn't training feel fun? I don't have anyone to say, yeah, training should feel fun. But I have a lot of media around me that suggests that training isn't fun. In fact, the media that suggests that training is more of a grind. So that's true. I've always grown up thinking that training is a grind. When you're training, you have to feel like you're grinding. But as I was training with Barbara, I felt like, are you sure? Are you sure it has to feel like grinding? And we've had this thought for over a year that training shouldn't have to feel like a grind. But we haven't had anyone to say that, yeah, training shouldn't. So then we're always bouncing this possibility around that perhaps training does have to feel like a grind. We're not committing to that theory, and we're also not committing to the theory that training should be fun. So we're just sort of open to either option, but then I guess that leads to problems, because then when we're doing a session and it feels like we're not having fun, instead of doing something that feels more fun, more engaging, which probably increases our capacity to learn, we instead keep doing the thing that doesn't feel so fun, because we feel like, well, some people say that grinding gets you the results, so maybe that's what we should do then. I don't know if we should be grinding, so I guess let's just do it and see what happens. But I still personally would feel like grinding is not the way forward. Having fun is the way forward. Yes, tailoring the fun to what you're doing so you're not getting distracted, but still to have the fun work with what you're doing. Yes, practice your techniques, but practice them in a fun way. You could even do Barbara's experiment. Even that's something different, a bit more stimulating. So rather than bowling from the same spot, try to recreate that angle from a different spot. And this is that thing that the special lanes get you to do, but do it with the standard lanes. It's kind of, when you really think about it, Abby's spot, Nellie's spot, or her angle, which is very similar to, I think Julie does it as well, Holly's spot and Megan's spot and Barbara's spot, they're all the same, because what they all account for is the kind of hook that Barbara gets from her earlies. They all have that bowling style to them. And then Giovanna's technique and Tomoko's technique, they also line up as well, because they also account for the kind of hook that Barbara gets from her lates. But Tomoko's spot and Giovanna's spot are not the same. Megan's spot is not the same as Barbara's or Nellie's spot or Abby's spot. They all have different spots, but they get very similar results because the actual way that they're bowling is very similar. They aim for a very similar part of the pin. Even Giovanna and Tomoko, they actually go for the opposite side of pin number 1, but they apply a very similar amount of hook. And the same applies to Megan over Barbara. Megan and Holly are on the right hand side, going for that bit that Abby hits at, while Barbara's on the left hand side, going for the bit that Giovanna gets to. And even that, I think it just adds a bit of flavour, adds a bit of variety to your game. Maybe that can feel a bit more fun. It's another thing that relates to when I have Barbara play with her friends. No, it's true. I'll get Barbara, I'll say, Barbara, let's play with this person, that person, that person. And Barbara will say, okay, sure. And sometimes Barbara gets together with her friends. You have like the training trio, for example, and they all have different styles, but sometimes they have things in common between them. So it's like you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it in a different way. And then you just have Barbara's face and Yoshi's face, for example, and Haru and James. And just the fact that there are 4 different people that I have to help bowl, that's a bit stimulating as well. That makes it a bit more fun because it's not just the same face. I have no problem with just bowling with Barbara, but the fact that there's 4 of them, and then, for example, if they're competing, they're genuinely competing, or maybe they're just genuinely competing. It could be competitively, it could be casually. Either way, they have points that you can compare with each other, and then you have the bonus stars that we came up with, where Abby's game's one of them, the Abby star, whoever gets the turkey at the end, and then the pickup star, whoever gets the most spares, and then the rally star, whoever gets the most strikes in a row. Different ways to engage with the game without it taking away from practicing. That's what we've been doing all of these years, indirectly practicing. That is why the battery's gone. Is there new music? Yeah, there is music. That's why Michaela got a 300. And that was the first 300 we got. We didn't even get the 300 the way I got it. I got it on her own, as you saw. But when the first time I helped someone get 300, it was with Michaela. And Michaela was not on her own. And then we actually did it on our own, not long after Michaela did it. It's almost like through playing with Michaela and her friends. Through playing with Michaela through playing with Michaela with her friends, I gained experiences that I wasn't even trying to get, that ultimately led to some kind of idea of, not even idea, it just led to a way to get 12 strikes in a row. But we weren't trying to get 12 strikes in a row. Yeah, I mean, we were trying to get strikes, but getting 12 strikes in a row just wasn't really on our agenda. It was just having the session with my friends. Those were my four. I think when Barbara wasn't there, I think James might have been there though, with Michaela. But yeah, just the friends hanging out as they say. The friends spending time with each other. That was the narrative. The narrative wasn't someone needs to get 300. Nope. But it happened. And that's why I've been saying you don't even need to intentionally go for strikes and go for 300. You can do it in some really backwards way that doesn't involve you thinking about getting the perfect score. You can just get it by accident. Oh look, we did it. That's funny. And then it doesn't happen for a while. But that's fine. And then it happens again. You think, what? Like Giovanna got 300. I wasn't expecting that. It just happened. I thought, no way, Giovanna, you're not getting it. There's magical moments like that. And it was fun. There was not any point where we were thinking, Giovanna, please don't mess up. Actually, it was more, Giovanna, please mess up. And we didn't say, Giovanna, please mess up, so that Giovanna could either mess up or get the strike. It was just funny that Giovanna was doing this and they actually didn't want Giovanna to get a high score for that account, for that Spocko Square pass. But she did it anyway. Yeah. You're feeling alone, isn't it? We feel like what we're saying isn't true because there's so much media out there that says, no, you have to do this. No, you have to grind. Grinding is good. When you grind, you get the results. Yeah. Well, you can grind without grinding. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's just not enough media. So it doesn't have to be media. Like I've said, we've gone in circles, but ultimately come back to this idea again and again and again that training can be fun. You don't have to grind to do your training, and you don't need any media to tell you that you're right, or to tell you that you're right or you're wrong. You don't need any media to say that. But the fact that there hasn't been, for me, I guess it's made me open, yes, and that bit's fine. I don't need to be told, oh yeah, because if there was no media saying that it should be a grind or not, then I guess I would just go through my experiences. I'd still be open until I'm not open, until I guess I've learned enough about my experiences to understand whether I feel like it should be a grind or not. Right now, I'm saying to you it shouldn't, but we've had to go and have these experiences to feel like that for ourselves. We prefer that over taking someone else's word for it. But I've said this before. No one in the past has watched those streams and said, yeah, training doesn't have to be a grind. So I'd say there hasn't been any guidance towards not grinding. The only guidance has been for myself. No, it hasn't only been for myself, because we use other people's experiences. We look at them and we think about how they were. We consider our own experiences and then we come up with ideas based on evidence, and then we think, I wonder if this is true or if it's not. So it's not all me, but I guess the ultimate idea is it feels like it's all me. No, it's not. It's really not, because again, it's a combination of everyone else's ideas. But still, I feel like with the ultimate idea that we have here, that training should be fun, I haven't heard anyone else say that. No, I've never heard anyone say training should be fun. I couldn't name a single person or recall a single reference of someone saying training should be fun. And hopefully, again, we still need to, don't need to, but I think it's still worth finding out if that is true. I've been quite scared about that theory, I guess, because I still take this quite seriously, in the sense that I want people to learn from what we're saying. And if Barbara doesn't reach that rank, I don't know how long it will take, but we're not supposed to rush. I still think, even when I say things like that, I feel like, well, that's not really good to say, is it? Because we don't need to rush. You don't need to make it happen now. If we end up losing the whole world because I took too long, then I guess that's it's just too bad. It's just the fate of the world, isn't it? But I think if I were to rush, I guess there's a balance to it, but still, I think if I was to rush, then people wouldn't get the full idea, so then they would still take shortcuts and stuff, because they're thinking, yeah, but look, he's so eager to reach this rank, even though he's saying, don't reach the rank, don't work for the rank, don't rush. Look at this guy, he's rushing, clearly, so, and that's a fair observation to make. It also says that we haven't really proven, no, honestly, we've already proven the stuff that we've talked about. We just gave an example about Michaela and Giovanna, how we were just playing casually and the stuff happened. The fact that we've only played casually up to that point, is that true? Not sure, but it's like we haven't really grinded for 300. And it just happened. I don't know. I think that's where we'll leave it for today. We'll leave it with the 258 that's been on the screen for over half an hour. And that's it. My conclusion is training can be fun. Doesn't need to be a grind. If you've watched this, I know this isn't supposed to be a guide, but I would genuinely recommend that when it comes to video games, you don't need to grind. Even if you wanted to fast track, you can still make it fun, and it won't feel like a grind. If you're having fun, it's not a grind, isn't it? So you could do what we've done. Say, look, we're practicing one technique constantly, and you can make that fun in the ways that we said, like with Megan style and Abby style, for example. But it's all the same technique, isn't it? You can still practice bowling, or you can even practice bowling from the same spot and somehow find fun out of that. But as long as you're finding fun, you stay engaged, I think you learn greater lessons and keep the experiences more than if you're grinding. That's my experience, that's my opinion for now. I still don't think I can tell you to do certain things, so I guess I'll retract my statement where I said I think you should make sure that your training is fun. I don't know that that's the truth, but I think that's what we'll go with. That's what I'll personally be going with going forward, or I may be personally going with as we continue. So I'm going to assume that we're not supposed to no, we're not really expecting, it's just a guess, I guess. It's just a guess, I suppose. Or I suppose it is a guess. No, I guess I suppose it's a guess. No, what? Oh, I don't know, I've lost it. Yeah, I suppose it is a guess. making this assumption, I'm assuming that tomorrow we'll resume to Late's Early's Mix and do the special lanes for at least an hour. Whether we'll do it again is up to us, but as in more than once in the day. But I think that's a bit of fun. And if we want to bring the training trio back, yeah, no. I know that's a conclusion. Big warning. There have been some training trio sessions I've done where I felt like we're doing this so that Barbara can improve. And then with that, I start to fixate on the results a bit more. That's not good. That's actually happened with Tomoko sessions as well. Barbara played with Tomoko, got a bit fixated, and then the training started to fizzle out. In other words, I started to not train as often, which I guess wasn't a terrible thing because we still had bowling sessions regularly around that time, but it did ultimately lead to that time around June to basically in June to October, September, where we just stopped playing bowling altogether, sorry. No, not sure if we did, because we still had trial mode to deal with. Just a bit of trial mode, but either way, I think the idea of training, it kind of puts that, oh, so you're training, that means you need to be doing this. But when it was just Barbara, oh my goodness, Barbara. When it was just Barbara and her friends, it didn't feel like training, even though it technically was, like I said. Why did I say, oh my goodness, Barbara? It's for a reason that I don't think I can reference right now. Also, I'm finding this funny because we did mention Ian in the tricolour outfit at one point. Maybe that was yesterday, and they actually have this picture with Ian in that exact outfit. Maybe that's why it feels so notable to me. What I was going to see if I could find is this thing that Barbara started. We called it Barbara's Bowling Fest. Barbara really wanted us to all play together and then have all the scores show up and have a little mini bowling competition. That's what Barbara wanted us to do. And then I said sure, but then ultimately I cancelled it because I said this kind of feels a bit distracting. I'm going to bring up this screenshot, even though it's not from Barbara's Bowling Fest. There's a bit of a joke because I can see 247 twice and Helene actually has 247. Yoshi is there and Nellie's there, and then that's Christine. Oh, that's how she got 266. Interesting. She would have had 267, but then she missed the other pin. That makes sense. Yeah, so this is all the thing we're talking about, where there's just 4 of them, and then it was supposed to be based on where they ended up. They get put into different groups, and then they just play casually in their groups, and you have like an elimination promotion thing, which is funny because it's like the Pro League, but these guys don't really care, if that makes sense. It's like, if you rank up, you rank up, you rank down, you rank down, but it's just all fun with your friends. I don't get that vibe from the Pro League, the actual Sparko Square Pro League, but that was the atmosphere of this little group here. This is actually from the time where Michaela did do what she did. She had her own session where she was she had her own session with 3 other people, but it was related to the same competition. We also did it with the Golf Invitational back when we had trial mode last year. Was it last year? I think it was. I wonder if I have. Yeah, we have it. The Golf Invitational was very similar where they just played while we were earning the items. They just played some survival golf, and how they did would get compared, and then when they went into the next round, then I think it was half, so basically everyone below Abby would have been eliminated, and it would have been the top 12, and they would have just had the trial mid sessions of survival golf. But then it's about the competitors, isn't it? It's not about me helping them play golf to the best of my ability. That plays a part, yes, but it's not like they have to get the best score, which is a bit funny because let's say they don't get the best score, then the first place will just have less points, but they'll still be at first place. So it's like if Shelter didn't get 52 points, it's not really a bad thing because then someone else will have first place. In this case, it would be Elisa. But just because someone doesn't get 50 points, it doesn't mean that we've done something wrong. So then it makes it such that your failures aren't really a problem. Just keep going, which is the narrative that we're trying to put across. Just keep going. Even when you don't get, like we said, even when you don't get the strike on frame 4, don't press that restart button, it's fine, just keep going. Don't make it feel like a grind. If pressing the restart thing is fun for you, then fine, you can do that. Just don't make your brain lose focus. Because I feel like if you're making yourself anxious, anxiety is this thing. It's like it feels like it creates mental stress. Mental stress and physical stress, they feel like 2 different things. It feels like when you have anxiety, you're not physically working hard, but your brain is physically working hard. So the rest of your body's kind of okay, mostly okay. Your heart rate will probably still go up, but say your bones are fine, that sort of thing. But your brain is working hard. And if your brain's working hard, then you have less capacity to learn and even to just play properly. So everything gets harder when you start getting anxious, because you're making your brain work harder. You're making your brain harder. The anxiety, just the fact that you're anxious, is making your brain work harder. So then if your brain's working harder, it's harder for you to learn, like I just said. Which leads to my theory that grinding actually makes it harder for you to get better. If that's what your goal is, don't bother. Don't bother. You should bother, but don't bother in a way that makes you grind. Don't do that to yourself. That's a sign that you should probably not necessarily take it easy. What's taking it easy? I don't know. Just do something fun that doesn't take you away from what you're doing. Just make it more fun. You can do that. Like we went to the shop. Okay, it did kind of take us away by getting on the buses, but then it did make the actual shopping trip feel a bit less of a grind. And that was the whole point of doing that. We accepted that it would take extra time to get on the bus and go around, but that was fine. We were fine with doing that on this occasion. It would be nice to find a better coping mechanism that saves time, because that time could have been used differently. We could have gotten a bit more training out of it, although I think we're kind of okay for training right now. I think we've done our bit. But, you know, it's 4 o'clock now and we're still talking, so I guess it would have been nicer if we got back a bit earlier, that sort of thing. But if we got back a bit earlier, it would have been because we didn't get on the bus, so then I wouldn't be able to talk to you about that example. Either way, hopefully you understand what we're trying to say, and I've given you many examples. Yeah, because the training trio was about training, wasn't it? But I guess if you put the training thing in your head too much, then it's not even just the fact that you're putting the training, it's more like your idea of training being that you have to get better, and then you don't, it looks like you're not getting better, then you get upset, and then the grind starts. Don't do that. You keep it fun. The training trio can still be fun, but then you have to approach it in a way that's fun, otherwise it doesn't work. So just because it's supposed to make training fun, don't then think, oh yeah, we'll do this because it'll make our training fun, so then we'll do even better, because now you're thinking about the training too much. Don't forget about the training. Just have fun with the training trio, full stop. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Alright, yeah, time for you to go to the Star Snout Barber. I'll see you tomorrow.